My name's Amanda Hill. I am a reporter and an anchor with CENTER Maine, and I am so excited. I'm so honored to be back here to celebrate this year's Maine Family Business Awards semifinalists, finalists, and of course, winners. First, we're going to watch a video, but then I want to introduce you to our special guest, Matt Nielsen, strategic advisor, corporate development, and third-generation owner of Nielsen-Massey Vanillas Incorporated. And if you don't recognize Matt's name or that of his company, you probably have experienced their award-winning flavors. Take a look.
To some, the word vanilla means bland or boring. But for the family business Nielsen-Massey, vanilla is something special. A special plant that yields a special flavor and forms the basis for a special company that's always been part of their lives. Nielsen-Massey produces the finest pure vanilla extracts and specialty flavor products in the world. Founded in 1907, its products are highly sought after by professional chefs and culinary experts, food manufacturers who demand high-quality flavors, and discerning home cooks who appreciate using the finest ingredients in their creations. Siblings Craig, Beth, and Matt Nielsen share a common bond and fond memories as well. Their father, Chatfield Nielsen Jr., took over from his dad in the late 1950s, and their mother, Camilla, joined the leadership team in 1979 and was chairman of the board until 2015. The 90s were a period of growth for Nielsen-Massey, with a move to their Waukegan plant and the opening of a facility in the Netherlands. New products and flavors were introduced, and in 2005, the company expanded beyond vanillas with a line of flavor extracts including coffee, orange, and peppermint, to name a few. Today, the Nielsen-Massey legacy is in good hands under the leadership of Craig, Beth, and Matt, who are all involved in the company's daily operation. A non-family member with extensive food experience has been brought in as CEO, and the company recently established an outside board of directors. Together, they strive not only to build the company and the brand, but also to support the farmers who grow the vanilla, who face a number of struggles, including theft in their fields during the rainy season. The company helps these farmers through the Nielsen-Massey Foundation and as co-founders of the Sustainable Vanilla Initiative in Madagascar. Above all, Nielsen-Massey recognizes that being socially and environmentally responsible is not just good for business, it's good for their farmers, good for their customers, and good for the world.
My name is Jonathan Thompson, and I'm the CEO of Nielsen-Massey Vanillas. Nielsen-Massey is over a 110-year-old company. It's actually third generation, family-owned to this day. 3 shareholders, and they're actually still very involved in the business. We take the world's finest vanilla that we source from Madagascar, Uganda, all different kinds of origins around the world. What we do is we turn that into the world's best extracts, powders, pastes, and other culinary delights. We have 4 channels that we operate in. We have a manufacturing division, which is ingredient-based business. And then we have a retail business, which is online and brick and mortar. The specialty and natural foods channels where we really focus. And then we also have a food service business. So if you think Michelin star and high-end chefs, that's where we really made a name for ourselves. But really our strategy over the last few years has been about expanding without losing the quality and the really high-end gourmet specialty chops that we're known for. But how do we expand out into more of the natural and the broader food drug mass? So really, if you look at our business, we've really been known in the specialty side and the specialty sector of retail.
Nielsen-Massey crafts vanilla slower because you can't rush perfection. Taste vanilla as vanilla should be.
Please welcome Matt Nielsen. Hi, Matt, how are you? Nice to see you. We want you over here, if that's okay.
Perfect.
We're just going to have a little chat.
That video is a little embarrassing.
Is it?
Wow.
I thought it was great.
Yes, it's cool to see the history and to see people speak about our business. But yeah, we're a family business like everybody else. We're not very good at promoting ourselves, right? So, and we feel a little embarrassed when people do promote us. So
There's
that's why.
A lot of humility in this world. Yeah.
For sure.
You know what
For sure.
should be embarrassing though, Matt, is I understand this is your first time to Maine in 30 years.
Yes, it is. Sorry.
Ooh.
Sorry. But being here reminded me how much I loved it when I was 13. And when we came on family vacation, my mother grew up in Long Island. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but she spent her summers vacationing in Maine. So the first opportunity she got when she thought we were old enough to appreciate the beauty of Maine, she brought us out here for family vacation and absolutely loved it. So
as long as it's not Massachusetts, I think the crowd is in your favor. Let's talk about your role specifically in this business. How has that evolved over 30 years?
Yeah, I mean, when I joined the business a long time ago, we were much smaller as a business. We were like a $10 million business. I still remember the year that we broke 12 million, meaning we did, essentially $1 million a year. My parents had a catalog and let the employees pick anything out that they wanted, and so it was a huge celebration. And now we're much bigger than that, but we still celebrate those milestones. But when I joined the business, we were really small. I mean, there were 12 employees. I came in right out of college, which is not something we recommend anymore. Apparently I did something wrong, I don't know, but wore a lot of hats, just as most family business members did. So when I came in, for the bulk of my career, I did sales and operations. And anybody that's in manufacturing knows that sales and operations usually don't get along together. So I had a lot of these, bipolar fights in my head about that. But I was able to grow within the business and learn about the business, continue to learn about the business, and develop my skills, and take on a strategic role. So I was responsible for our strategic planning, which was really beneficial to kind of see the big picture of what we were doing and where we're going. And I recently have stepped out of an operating role within the business. You saw our current non-family CEO, Jonathan Thompson, speaking. He has put together such an amazing professional team of leaders that it gave us as the family the confidence and the ability to step out of operating roles, let them take the reins so that we could focus less on working in the business and more on working on the business, which is really critical as we think about the next generations and future generations. We try to make decisions that take us, that we're considering 5 generations out. And that's super and critical to have that time to be able to do that.
That's very important, and that brings me to a statistic. 3% of family-owned businesses make it from first to 4th generation.
Yeah.
That was one of my questions for you, is how do you make sure you're making it to the next generation? Yeah,
it's a challenge for family businesses, and we're actually a little bit of an update since that video. Unfortunately, my brother passed away recently. So his 2 boys, which are 4th generation, are now shareholders in the business. So we've transitioned so far successfully from 3rd to 4th. But I think that what has really helped us is multiple things. Is we've been fully committed to education around family business. So learning about what makes us as a family business unique and the things that we need to be thinking about as it relates to governance and succession planning and things like that. It also has been helpful to make sure that the previous generation, so meaning in my case, my parents, were very good at not putting the expectation on us that we were going to join the business. It was an option for us, but if we were passionate about something else, then that was fine, go do that, right? And I think that's where a lot of family businesses fail, is when you put that expectation on the next generation, and the next generation comes in, but if they don't have the stewardship or the passion for that business, they're not going to be successful, or if they are, they're successful in spite of themselves, right? So you need people that are fully committed to the business, that have the right cultural fit, that have the right education and commitment and passion to the business to be successful in future generations.
I think a lot of businesses here can also relate to finding cost-effective ways to run business. Nielsen-Massey vanillas, they're not cheap, but you don't use cheap quality materials. Talk a little about that.
Yeah, we've always been focused, and I was speaking with somebody earlier tonight that, you know, as we continue to grow, our desire is not to be the biggest in our industry. There are people far bigger than us, and they will kick our butts if we try to take them on. So that's not what we're doing, and we don't want to do that. But our focus is always to be the best at what we do. And that means we have to pay above average. We have to pay in terms of employees. We pay for the quality of what we desire from the growing regions. It means we have people in country in the growing regions working for us that go out and build those relationships with the farmers and the villages and the co-ops, and we support programs in country. You saw some of that in the video of building schools and providing clean water wells and things like that. Vanilla is grown in developing countries, so they are primarily disadvantaged areas, and we want to make sure that we can do things to help our farmers, not only to obviously build an allegiance to us, but it's better for the environment, it's better for the communities and all that. And therefore, because of how much we invest in quality and our farmers and our relationships, our prices are going to be more expensive. We have to be able to do that in order to support that.
I also want to talk to you, Matt, about your philanthropic arm here, the Nielsen-Massey Foundation, which actually has a multifaceted relationship with the James Beard Foundation. Tell us about that relationship.
Yeah, so we've been involved. I mean, culinary is a huge part of what we do, working with chefs, both savory chefs, pastry chefs like we experienced tonight, and cocktails as well, as we also experienced tonight. And James Beard is a huge part of supporting that industry, that marketplace, and they are one of the preeminent foundations and entities that does support that industry. So it's very much a natural for us to have a partnership with them to help support the work that they're doing to promote culinary and to promote the creativity that chefs need in order to kind of release their inner self, right? And there's nothing better than being able to do that.
I want to take some questions from the audience, and I hope somebody set aside one of those vanilla cocktails for me, because I showed up a little late. But does anybody in the audience have any questions for Matt Nielsen? Oh, we've got one right here, Catherine.
What's his relationship with Family Enterprise USA?
Family Enterprise USA, you have a relationship with them. What is that?
Yeah, and they're here tonight as a sponsor, which is amazing. Family Enterprise USA, for those of you who don't know, is a nonprofit organization that is an advocate for family businesses in Washington, D.C. I was lucky enough to get involved with them a number of years ago and was invited about 2 years ago to serve on their board of directors. So I go to Washington, D.C. a few times a year. We get updates on what's happening politically that may impact family businesses, and then we spend time on the Hill meeting with congressional staffs and representatives and senators. And interestingly enough, I was shocked when I first joined and heard this, that there's so many different interest caucuses within Congress. There's a small business one, there's all kinds of things. There's a peach growers, a peach tree caucus, whatever it may be. There was not a family business caucus, and I was shocked at that. And that was one of the first things they did, was found the Congressional Family Business Caucus on the House side. We're now working on forming a caucus on the Senate side, because apparently senators and representatives don't mix very well. So they have to have their own caucus. And we're still looking for people on that caucus. So I know Senator Collins in Maine, if anybody knows her, please let her know that we'd love to have her involved. It's a bipartisan caucus. It's a bipartisan group. We're not advocating for policies, but we are advocating for family businesses, because we all know what impacts a family business is different than what impacts other businesses, and that family businesses are not just small businesses, which is one of the most common misconceptions we have when we meet with staff is, oh, well, we're already involved with small businesses. That's great. Family businesses are small, they're million-dollar businesses, but there are family businesses that are multi-billion-dollar businesses, and there's everything in between. So it's really important that they consider that when they are speaking about changes to law.
Yeah, very important. That was a great question. All right, we've got one right here. Oh, we have a microphone coming, so hang on, I'm sorry. We won't make you shout.
I think I know the answer to this, but I'd like to be curious. Why Madagascar and Uganda? They have something special in terms of the essence you need?
Yes, that's exactly right. So vanilla only grows 10 to 20 degrees north and south of the equator. So it's a very finite space, and it needs a certain environment. It needs, we are proponents of using trees to support the vines that actually produce the vanilla beans. So you need forest area, you need kind of tropical forest, you need a slightly sloping ground so that the vine's not sitting in water but gets water. There's a lot of technical things to it. Vanilla originated in Mexico, and it was taken during the colonial days to places like Madagascar and Indonesia and French Polynesia and Uganda and places like that. It just so happened that it thrived, particularly in Madagascar, particularly as Mexico declined in their vanilla cultivation and production, to the point now that Madagascar actually supplies 80% of the world's supply, which is honestly a bit of a dangerous, obviously, position to be in. Anybody knows in business is you don't want to have 80% of your revenue coming from one place or 80% of your supply coming from one place. So we're working, and it's part of the effort with the Sustainable Vanilla Initiative that we helped found, to expand vanilla cultivation and promote other growing areas such as Uganda and Mexico and India and places like that where it can thrive.
Another great question. Oh, we've got one right over here.
I can't see anything, so I don't know how you're seeing hands.
I'm just doing this.
We're only getting like the first 4 people in the
What
rows.
was the most important thing you did to grow from 12 million to the next step, and what was the most challenging aspect of that growth?
Well, bringing me into the business, first of all, was the number one thing. We're very big proponents thus far on growing organically. So everything has been done organically, meaning we went out and got the business, right? We sold the product, we brought it in-house, we brought those sales in-house. So a lot of it was that, and was just continuing to build our reputation and our brand recognition through all the different channels that was mentioned on the videos that we sell into. A big part of it over the last 5 years has been our push from specialty natural retail stores into more mainstream supermarkets, has been a big part of it, as well as, honestly, in the last year and a half, Costco has been a huge growth piece for us. But also as we've grown internationally as well, has really all contributed to it. I think, we haven't necessarily had challenges per se. I mean, certainly they were there, but for everybody that we've brought in to help us grow the business, including our non-family CEO, it's our message to them still remains to being like, we want to be the best, right? Like, we're all for growing because you have to grow as a business, otherwise you're going to die, and we don't want that to happen. Our plan, our goals are to continue to perpetuate this to future generations, but don't mess with the quality, right? Like, everybody we bring in, that's the message to them is you can grow, you can talk about changing things, but if it impacts quality, it's a non-starter. We won't go there.
I like that a lot. Anyone else? Oh, one right back here. And we can make this the last one, but while the mic's being passed,
Yeah.
do you have any specific advice that you would offer to these family businesses?
Yeah, I mean, to me, it goes back to education. I'm a huge proponent. I'm a lifelong learner. I still, go to family business conferences. I attend webinars because there's always something new to learn. And And you learn not only from the presentations that are there, but you learn from the people that are there, right? Like I learn just as much as with the connections I make and the people that I talk to. So an environment like this, right, is an amazing opportunity to meet people and to learn about other businesses and how they've handled things. So I think learning is the number one thing. And then, you know, if you need help, go get help. Right? Don't be afraid to ask for help. And sometimes we get so focused on working in our business that we forget that we need to work on the business, or we don't think that we have the time to work on the business. So often bringing a consultant in, a family business consultant, will help you and force you to spend time on the business. So those would be my two big ones. Continue with education and get help when you need help.
Okay, we'll get to that question.
So my question is, how do you set up, like, amongst the shareholders, voting and things like that amongst the family members? And also, what do you do if you have disagreements? What do you find is the best way to overcome those?
That's a great question. I mean, ownership is all based on shares, or I should say voting is all based on shares. When it was my brother and sister and I, we each owned a third. We each, you know, had to get together and make a decision. As I said, we recently just passed on those shares to the fourth generation. We haven't had a vote since then. So, you know, I was talking with a group earlier. I said, I feel like I'm a bit of an expert on three people in a third generation sibling partnership. Now I have to learn how to handle a sibling partnership, but also two nephews, right? I'm hoping it's not a lot different, but it very well may be. And that's all based on the individual. So voting is all based on the share itself. We have certain things within our bylaws and within our shareholders agreement that require unanimous approval. So things like if we were gonna sell the business, that requires unanimous approval, right? But most of the decisions we make are majority. And that was certainly challenging, particularly with the three of us, because often it was two people wanting to go one way and another person wanting to go another way, and the individual would feel like they weren't being heard, listened to, considered, right? And that's part of also why we brought in our independent board of directors and our non-family CEOs to partly alleviate some of that decision making from the three of us as operators in the business or even as the board. But even so, there were still, you know, shareholder decisions that we have to make. And we like to think that we're all mature enough that if a vote goes 2-1 previously, then, you know, you got to roll with it, right? And you have to kind of, lack of a better word, suck it up and just, you know, move forward and be aligned then on how you're gonna go forward. But it can take a lot of conversations, right? So it's not always just a simple, let's have a meeting and make a quick vote. When we decided to do a board of directors, it took us 2 years to decide whether it was gonna be a fiduciary board or an advisory board, right? So don't be afraid to take some time, but you don't wanna obviously stall the business on a critical decision as well.
This has been very informative. Thank you for sitting down with
Yeah,
us.
thank you.
Hey, if you want to learn more, you can actually hear more from Matt tomorrow during IFOB's featured guest. He'll be with a more intimate lunch discussion with Tammy Buss, who is the founder and family business advisor for Blue Roots.
Yes.
I know you guys have a relationship with them as well. Tammy's a cousin from the north in Canada, and we'll chat with Matt about building a legacy and succession planning. Matt, thank you so much.
Thank you, appreciate it. Thank you.